Created in God's image. What is that all about? I was pastor of a church in central Indiana. One day, as I walked through the church building, I passed a rack of tracts, pamphlets, and I spotted one I didn't recognize. I said to myself, I should read these before we pass them out. So I took it and read it. And it was very good. I'm sure someone read it before it was placed there. It made a statement that gave me pause. We were made in God's image to be His companion. Something about that bugged me. I've been told all my life that Christianity is a relationship with Christ, so that wasn't new. But connecting that to being made in His image was a different thought. It made me think there's something here I need to truly understand. It bugged me, so a few days later, I took down my Bible and reread the creation account, just looking for that. In Genesis 1, we find the 6 days of creation. That's where we find the words, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness." The first few verses of chapter 2 are day 7, and then Moses takes a step backwards, goes into more detail about the creation of man. He said, God formed Adam from the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and he became a living soul. Then God took Adam and put him in the garden and gave him a job. Name all the animals. A few verses later, it makes a very strange statement. But for Adam, there was no helpmeet found. That's the King James Version. It's Old English, basically a companion, a mate. There was no mate for Adam in the garden. After reading that, I stopped and I asked God, you knew when you made Adam alone there wouldn't be a mate for him in the garden. Why did you do it that way? And why did you tell us about it? Surely there's more to this than a nice little history lesson. What is it? Now, as I read on, God took Adam and put him to sleep, and took a part of him and made Eve, and brought the two together and said, this is very good. As I pondered that, it came to me this way. Eve was made in Adam's image, not identical to him, but enough like him to be his companion. Then another thought hit me. I get it. The picture of Adam alone in the garden is a picture of God in heaven. And God looked all over heaven at all of his created beings, the angels, the cherubim, the elders, and who knows what other creatures are out there. Not one of them was enough like him to be his companion. So he made man in his own image to be his companion. Just like he made Eve in Adam's image to be Adam's companion. As I thought about that, I realized, wait a minute, if that's true, then the relationship between Adam and Eve is a picture of the relationship God wants to have with me. Is this real? Or is it just some wild-haired preacher's idea that popped in my brain? I've been in the church my whole life. I've never heard anything quite like this preached before or taught. But as I thought about it, I remembered the book of Revelation calls the church the bride of Christ. The bride of Christ? When Jesus spoke about marriage, he said, "For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they two shall be one." When Jesus prayed for his disciples in the upper room, he prayed, "Father, make them one as we are one." The very language he used to describe marriage, he used to describe the relationship that God wants to have with his followers. Wow. You know, Christianity is not a set of rituals to follow. Don't get me wrong. I love the rituals of the church, communion, baptism, and the others. But that's not what it's all about. Is it about theology? Theology is the study about God. I can study all about Abraham Lincoln, but I can never know Abraham Lincoln. It is much more important to know God than it is to know about him. Here's a biggie. Is Christianity just the keeping of a set of rules? Wow, preacher. Does that mean I can do whatever I want? No, it works like this. Almost 49 years ago, I stood at an altar and promised to keep her only unto me so long as we two shall live. Could I take up with another woman? That's possible, but if I did, what would that do to my relationship with my wife? If it didn't totally destroy it, it would certainly take a long time to recover. Wow. Jesus said, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Wow. If you love me, keep my commandments. It's not, if I do that, I'm going to go to hell. I don't want to do anything that would destroy my relationship with him. That's what life is all about. That's why we were created. Without that connection, that relationship to God, we're adrift. We have this deep longing in our heart that just can't be filled by anything of this world. It can only be filled by having a relationship with him. So the question becomes, how do I get into this relationship with him? How do I nurture it? How do I keep it? And how do I share it with others? His last command before he went back to heaven was, "Go and make disciples of all nations." Who is a disciple? Someone who has a relationship with Jesus. The 12 disciples left all and followed him. They spent over 3 years with him, building that relationship that would see them through this life, even though he wasn't physically present with them anymore. If you don't know him, if you don't have a relationship with him, we'd love to tell you how. And if you don't know how to share your faith with others, if you've heard the preacher up there get up and say, you need to be telling others about Jesus, but you just don't know how, oh, get in touch with us. We'd love to teach you how to do personal evangelism, leading others into this relationship with Jesus. For that is truly